Welcome to the Daily Pulse for August 20, 2026. This covers the articles followed on this date, a curated selection, not a comprehensive record of everything that happened. How many stories fall under any one theme reflects what was followed, not how common it is in the world. A recent survey of experts by Brightline Watch identifies a partial, measurable rebound in overall democracy ratings within the United States. While the top-line numbers suggest recovery, the data reveals a different reality beneath the surface. That surface-level recovery exists alongside intense, ongoing vulnerabilities. The same survey pinpoints deep structural fragility persisting around election administration, the judiciary, and executive power. The Journal of Democracy identifies the specific conditions where political polarization crosses into physical violence. Hostility alone does not cause the breakdown. Violence erupts specifically when demographic fear converges with institutions that are too weak to enforce equal protection. A system can look perfectly intact in broad surveys, while its foundational supports fail. Extreme vulnerabilities persist because political control is no longer contested entirely in the open. It is secured through quiet, precise institutional leverage points. The physical demands of artificial intelligence are generating friction worldwide. An investigation documents a massive grassroots revolt against AI data centers across 14 countries. This global pushback is rooted in tangible resources. Communities are fighting tech expansion to protect their local water supplies, their electrical grids, physical land and labor standards, and basic national sovereignty. In the US, Gallup polling tracks a steep rejection of this hardware. 71% of Americans now oppose the construction of local AI data centers in their areas, citing environmental impact, rising costs, and declining quality of life. Axios reports Senate Republicans are warning AI firms that local data center backlash in Ohio could cost them a critical Senate seat. Local disputes over water and electricity are transforming into top-tier political vulnerabilities. National campaigns are finding that they cannot force unwanted tech infrastructure onto communities without risking their own electoral survival. The struggle for control extends to cultural infrastructure. The Nation frames the Paramount-Warner Brothers merger as a massive corporate consolidation of narrative power. The piece terms this a Hollywood gerrymander. By centralizing the machinery of storytelling, corporate mergers deliberately narrow whose stories receive funding, which directly influences whose votes and voices matter in the broader political discourse. Securing political leverage requires the capture of underlying infrastructure, controlling both the raw computing capacity of artificial intelligence and the cultural pipelines of media distribution. As public friction over resources and representation grows, state entities adapt their methods of control. An investigation by Disclose details exactly how this operates within the French police force. French authorities scaled the deployment of Neo mobile phones across their ranks. Officers used these devices to run real-time facial recognition against the national criminal database, effectively turning everyday patrols into active biometric dragnets. In the US, municipal governments attempt to regulate these tools with mixed results. Wisconsin Watch notes the Milwaukee Police Department formally banned facial recognition technology, yet the local sheriff's office is simultaneously weighing a contract with Biometrica. A municipal ban on surveillance means little if a separate law enforcement agency in the exact same jurisdiction purchases the capability anyway. Technological surveillance operates in tandem with targeted legal restrictions. Strict anti-protest laws originating here in the UK Parliament are actively chilling climate activism. In Washington, a congressional probe is investigating the previous administration's NSPM 7 directive. Democrats are demanding answers on how this specific national security framework was weaponized to pursue and penalize left-wing dissenters. The enforcement of state power utilizes the press as well. Scholar Jason Arde argues that UK tabloid culture operates as a mechanism of public hounding, employing a journalism of cruelty to neutralize targets. State force does not rely on a single tool. It operates as a coordinated system where technological surveillance tracks the public, tailored legal frameworks criminalize dissent, and media hounding enforces compliance. The financial engines driving these systems remain hidden. A Federal Election Commission complaint alleges National Interest Action poured $3.5 million into undisclosed independent expenditures. Dark money directly translates into policy. Financial access to congressional staff shapes preemptive legislation, protecting tech companies before local governments can act. Similar mechanisms surface globally. In Peru, 2.6 million soles in congressional payroll deductions were allegedly funneled to 3 political parties. The Journal of Democracy notes a critical asymmetry in how this ecosystem is opposed. Philanthropy focused on freedom underfunds the actual defense of democratic institutions, leaving them vulnerable to coordinated financial capture. A weekly intelligence report by CRC Analysis tracks how these vulnerabilities are exploited in the information space. Influence narratives from Russia, China, and Iran are now actively converging with automated AI campaigns and election integrity narratives. A meta-analysis from IPI isolates the mechanics of this threat, concluding that text-based generative AI misinformation presents a major persuasive risk. Their findings prioritize mandatory labeling and comprehensive researcher access to platform data. The consequences of this ecosystem bypass adults entirely. Current reporting reveals the gaming platform Roblox is utilized by neo-Nazi recruiters to target and radicalize children. Radicalization also receives top-level institutional cover. Analysis indicates multiple coordinated actions by the U.S. State Department are effectively legitimizing far-right politics on a global scale. ABC News captures the extreme edge of this rhetoric, quoting Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir advocating for killing 30 to 40 people in Gaza nightly. Organizations pushing these extremes maintain strict internal order. The Guardian reports Reform UK suspended an activist for criticizing party leader Nigel Farage, enforcing complete narrative discipline. Dark money sustains an entirely separate infrastructure of radicalization and policy preemption, extending its influence far beyond the outcome of individual elections. Strategic pushback is forming at the community level, utilizing tactics designed to bypass heavily polarized audiences and address material needs directly. A new persuasion framework called the Don't Argue, Translate method recently launched, demonstrating its approach through a real-world Arizona SNAP assistance example. It prioritizes practical translation over ideological debate. State Assembly member Zoran Mamdani's DSA-aligned governance program offers free babysitting to constituents. Delivering highly visible structural help to families proves to be an effective mechanism for building lasting political trust. The metric to track is whether local, resource-driven opposition to AI infrastructure becomes intense enough to force national political parties to break ranks with big tech donors. The counter-indicator will be legislation. If dark money-backed preemption laws successfully strip local communities of their legal right to regulate these facilities entirely, the community-level resistance will be neutralized. Will democratic institutions adapt to these covert levers of power, or will the infrastructure of our daily lives be entirely captured before we even realize it's happening? The source articles are linked in the video description.